You might not be surprised to know that the Schumer article mentions you. These people, man, these people, they are fucking demonic. I swear to God. I had a little bit of confidence initially. I had a little bit of confidence that they were going to do a full push behind Abdul. I am definitely worried. Anyway. All right. Key primary races across the country. We are getting to American politics, folks. That's what we're doing.
Holding primaries across the nation. Our Jay O'Brien is in Washington with details on the most closely watched races. Good morning, Jay.
Michael, good morning to you. Voters in 4 states going to the polls tonight, but all eyes on that critical Senate race in Alaska that could help decide who controls Congress. Democrats hoping former Congresswoman Mary Peltola can flip that seat blue. She's a moderate who recently rejected an endorsement from Vice President Kamala Harris. For Republicans, it's a tale of two Dan Sullivans. The state's sitting GOP Senator Dan S. Sullivan is facing a primary challenge from Dan J. Sullivan. Both could wind up on the ballot in November because of the way Alaska's primaries work. President Trump has blamed trickery, in his words, on the part of Democrats for that, but state Democrats and Dan J. Sullivan deny any connection, Michael.
And Jay, a big primary day in Florida as well.
That's right. From the frozen tundra in Alaska to the Sunshine State, where Florida Republican Congressman Corey Mills is facing multiple primary challengers in a district that Democrats are hoping to flip this November. Mills is under investigation by the Justice Department, sources tell ABC News, although it's unclear the exact nature of that investigation. The House Ethics Committee has also opened a probe for what it calls alleged, quote, sexual misconduct and or dating violence. Mills has denied any wrongdoing. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who's popular with state Republicans, saying plainly he doesn't support Mills. Also in Florida, 10 Republicans are vying to replace Congressman Byron Donalds, who's running for governor. On that ballot are 2 former congressmen who resigned in scandal, 3 candidates who previously ran for Congress in other states like Illinois and New York, and a pardoned January 6th rioter. Meantime, in California, there's a special election tonight to fill the seat of former Congressman Eric Swalwell, who resigned from Congress and ended his run for governor.
Aisha Wahab is our gal in this race.
Remember, after accusations of sexual assault, which he denies. Michael.
All right, seems like an episode of...
Which Dan Sullivan are you rooting for? The teacher. I love his response. Because, so the Alaska race is really funny. You got 2 Dan Sullivans. One's the Republican. The other one's Mary Peltola, who's, running against the Republican. And then you have the other Dan Sullivan. And the Republicans tried to keep him off the ballot because they were like, this is electioneering. You're interfering in the election. And he had a very funny and, dare I say, cute response to it, where he was just like, I'm sick and tired of my name. I'm sick and tired of this Dan Sullivan sullying my name with his associations to, ridiculous policies. And therefore, of course, he's still allowed to run. And it's kind of funny because, it's just, I'm sure it is going to dupe people. I'm sure that there are going to be people who vote for him by accident. And I wonder if that actually ends up changing the dynamic for Peltola. August 18th is going to have so many interesting matchups. Here's a thread. Oliver Larkin versus Jared Moskowitz in Florida 25. Obviously, this is a Trump +4 district. It was redistricted to make it more purple, make it more competitive. Elijah Manley versus Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is the one who's carpetbagging into this Black Opportunity District. That's what it's called. She is straight up in the most shameless way possible trying to come into this much safer blue district to maintain her seat as a old school party elite. She is despicable. She's awful. Obviously, we want Elijah Manley there, but unfortunately, there might be some vote splitting for the rest of this race. We got Aisha Wahab going up against Melissa Hernandez in California 14. This is obviously Eric Swalwell's seat. You have the Hitler versus Hitler matchup. You got Armenian Hitler versus fat Jewish Hitler. Dan Bilzerian versus Randy Fine. They pretty much agree on everything except Dan Bilzerian is anti-Semitic and Randy Fine is hateful to every other minority group except for Jews. The establishment Democrats have kind of defended Randy Fine by attacking Dan Bilzerian out of nowhere yesterday in unison. I found that to be very strange. I found that to be very disgusting. It's you should just stay out of it. You know what I mean? You don't have to go out the bat Oh, the Dan Bilzerian, the anti-Semitism demonstrated by Dan Bilzerian is unacceptable. Okay, what about the Islamophobia by Randy Fine? I found that to be totally disgusting. I'll be honest with you. Like, Hakeem Jeffries coming out to defend Randy Fine, basically, by making it seem like he's a small being, a victim of anti-Semitism, is wild to me. It is very telling. It is very telling what the establishment of our party and the establishment of both parties care about. Yeah, I tweeted about this. I said, Dan Bilzerian, but it's also funny that Randy Fine is basically Dan Bilzerian level hateful for Muslims. In parentheses, basically any minority but Jews, and all these civility fetishists in office simply do not care. Double standard is so vast, it makes Randy Fine look normal-sized. Yeah, anti-Semitism is unacceptable. Islamophobia is not only acceptable, but welcomed, promoted, all that good stuff. Caruso allegedly has molested 2 generations of family members. Wait, what? As a Florida legislator, Mike Caruso supported the penalty for pedophiles in 2023. Now he has been arrested for allegedly molesting his grandson. The state plans to present the case to a grand jury that could lead to his own execution if he's charged and convicted under that law. What a fitting end. I mean, this is a classic example. I mean, this is not the first time this has happened. Anyway, we'll look at that later. Then you have James Fishback versus Byron Donalds. And that's another very interesting race because James Fishback is the Groyper candidate. He's got hella allegations. Which I think in the state of Florida, especially on the Republican ticket, is favorable. It's very interesting. Like, Florida is one of those states where if you're a Republican and you're like outed as being a pedophile, more people want to vote for you for some reason. It's like a boost. Very strange stuff. Now, I don't think he's going to crack like 10%. Anyway, decaf, decoy. I don't know. He's making points. What? Dog, what the hell are you talking about, man? I got the GOP coming after me. I got the entire Republican propaganda apparatus coming after me, and glorp shito. There is no more glorp shito. Okay, there's no more xylitol said this about you. Like, I'm over here. I'm not even covering half of the Republican attacks, and you're like, no, dude, you have to see this guy. You have to see this guy. He really cooked you, buddy. He really cooked you, buddy. He cooked your ass.
We got to talk about
Oh my God. What is this? Oh, it's a guy attacking me for saying I'm suing Scott Jennings.
Or the dog abuser.
Really, dude? This is the guy you're getting your notes from? I can't tell you what I think you should do, but you should probably stop getting your notes from slop tubers. Okay? I can't deal with the people who are like, well, I get all my politics from random Groyper who's breaking 20K for the first time ever in his goddamn life because he made a video boosting his name recognition in the algorithm by attacking me. Hey, Hasan, did you notice the difference between this cycle of attacks and the previous one? No, it's the same shit. It's the same attacks. It's all nonsense. Anyway, yeah. We got M. Pregasis, okay? We got M. Pregasis, and that's the only one. Out of all the slop tubers, I have one favorite. His name is M. Pregasis. His name is more Pegaslop, okay? He is keeping me, international commerce enjoyer, okay, international shipping magnate, from doing business with the glorious city-state of Singapore, okay? This guy chirps about you a lot. Marco Rubio just found something huge.
Finally have consequences, as Secretary of State Marco Rubio is clamping down on communism in our country.
Now investigating.
What country is this guy from? Is this guy even American? What? This guy's an Asman orbiter? Bro, there are so many chuds like this. Dude, here's what I'm going to say, okay? There is an unbelievable market of chuds that exist on YouTube, TikTok, everywhere, okay? All they do is slop. They don't know a single damn thing about politics. They don't even understand American politics. All they do is sit around and get their notes from Twitter, the neo-Nazi hell site, and they just regurgitate whatever they're seeing on Twitter. And every single one of those videos reaches at least 250,000. Every single time, okay? We have to be a little bit more careful. We have to be a little bit better with our media diet, okay? It's like dudes from Bhutan being like, let me tell you about American politics. And there are unironically a lot of American chuds that fall for the classic Ian Miles Chung style technique. Guy who's never stepped foot in the United States of America, who's constantly talking about American politics from a right-wing perspective. Okay? Yes, Bhutan mentioned. It's always some shit like that. It's like a Malaysian dude or a dude from Bhutan who's just like LARPing as a MAGA chud and nosediving into slop. We can't be doing this. Anyway, Mr. Pegasus perfected the genre of person. Yes, he did. M. Pegasus perfected it. I just posted about the slop tour, but he's actively going around in Cuba. What? Bro, just please move past it. It's another Dan Stalkman psyop. XQC watch some slop video. There's like 14 threads. It's going to be tons of it today. You just have to ignore it. I just don't understand why people go, nah, dude, you got to address this. This one's really good. Dog, they talk about me. They talk about the same exact shit on Fox News every night. If that's not going to do me in, why the fuck was some random slop tuber that XQ Cow watched? Why is that going to do it? You know? At some point, you just got to, if you want to know my perspective, you can come here. We can have a normal and honest conversation about it. It's not like I hide my opinion on shit. I talk about it all the time. Anyway, we're moving on. Because you give them attention, I usually don't. How much of it is financial incentive for these things, especially for global South nations to farm slop? What, you think like random dudes in Bangladesh genuinely want to keep the West white? No, they set up those white supremacist accounts on purpose on Twitter because they need to farm like $35 in ad revenue. It's a big deal. If you live in Bangladesh, yeah, $35 American dollars in ad revenue goes a long way. There are far worse jobs that you could be taking on, you know, delivering whatever the local version of Postmates is. So yeah, 90% of all neo-Nazi accounts on Twitter are dudes sitting in a server room in India. Straight up. So many of those accounts do that. And then this is the more elevated version of that, right? Like there are different ways that you can make a killing. Adjusted to your local economy. Hasan, stop. Wait, what? I mean, this isn't, I'm not like, you know, shitting on people. I'm not knocking their grift. But yeah, a lot of people do this. A lot of people cover American politics from a right-wing perspective and hyper-focus on the drama and slop because they know it's going to get them attention. They don't have any like real political perspective. They're just doing it because they know dumb Americans are going to watch it, and they make money. They make a lot of money doing it. 100%. It's completely inorganic, but ultimately there is a market for it, right? Sounds like you're giving bail for racists. No, I'm not. I'm just explaining to you that the people that are pumping out this content, don't have any perspective on the matter, right? They don't. They're just doing. That's Unreal Cope. You always give these fucking losers attention every single time. Even some dude who's been following for 10 minutes, you always pull their ass up. Okay. Anyway, we're moving on. Last time I was in Bangladesh, I asked the most average lifestyle is about $50 a month USD. Yeah. There's varying degrees of this, but part of it is because the algorithm favors it, right? Part of it is because the algorithm actually boosts it. If we lived in like upside down world and Elon Musk purchased Twitter to make the algorithm favor, you know, socialism or whatever, those guys would be pumping out socialist content. They'd be doing Red Shambhala edits. They'd be talking about how awesome Lenin was and how, Americans there are demonstrating counter-revolutionary behavior. They'd be farming Asmongold instead of me. You literally read one chatter. Guys, I'm now talking about something broader, okay? Shut the fuck up. Now you're literally... Everything I say now, you're filtering through the lens of like, oh, he's talking about a slop tuber. I'm talking about something broader, okay? We can have a conversation about broader issues and how, right-wing slop gets base boosted on the American algorithms owned by Zionist billionaires, okay? Can we have a normal conversation about that? Is that okay? Can I have a normal conversation as a 35-year-old political commentator who's been doing this for 13 fucking years? Or are you guys going to cry about it as though I'm like yelling about one specific random slop tuber or something in your minds? You're just locked in on that side of the conversation. We're having a broader conversation now. Has nothing to do with the motherfucking slop tubers. Okay? Jesus Christ. Anyway, getting back to the races. What I find particularly funny about the James Fishback versus Byron Donalds race is the fact that all the Groypers love James Fishback because he's their guy, right? And also he has, I think he has like pedophilia allegations. Like he's done inappropriate things with minors, which is, again, you know, allegedly that's what he's done. But that's also favorable, I think, if you're a Republican in Florida. But what's really interesting to me is the fact that all of these, what is this, Ryan using you? Oh, hell yeah. So all of these guys, these Groypers, they love him, right? They love him. They're like, he's awesome. He's saying it like it is. He hates the Jews. He's like shitting on the Jews all the time. And what's really funny about it is, Doug, he was a Barry Weiss fan like 2 years ago. 2 years ago, he was a Barry Weiss fan. Now, of course, he might be Colombian. I don't know what he is. He's not white. That's for sure. But that obviously is perfectly normal for the Groyper movement. Like, you have to be not white. If you are a white supremacist in the United States of America in the year 2026, you're less likely to be white than if you are a part of the Democratic Socialists of America. Okay? But what I find strange is, like, these guys call everybody else feds, even though people call Nick Fuentes a fed, right? And what's strange about it is this guy is a fucking fed. Like, this guy is so clearly a grifter. You're like, oh, this is my guy. This is my goat. I love James Fishback. He's saying it like it is. He's talking about the Jews. And it's like, okay. He was a Barry Weiss fan like 2 years ago. What the fuck? Nothing rings alarm bells in your mind? Post October 7. Yes. He was hanging out with Barry Weiss. He was talking about how, like, Barry Weiss is combating anti-Semitism, and that's a really important thing for him. Anyway, he wrote an article about me and my time in college policy debate and how it's too woke. Oh yeah, we saw this. We saw this poll. What else? Yeah, then there's Marielana Kinter versus Bill Dalton. Britt Robinson versus LaShonda Holloway. Angie Nixon versus Alex Vindman for Florida Senate. Why so uncharitable? Don't you always say people have the capacity to change? Come on, man. You went from fucking being a Barry Weiss acolyte to being a Free Palestine guy who's also anti-Jewish. Get the fuck out of here. Anti-Semitic. That reeks like a psyop to me. But again, listen. That's not my battle anyway. I don't give a shit. That's not my battle. You want to know why? Because both of these guys suck anyway. They're Republicans running in the Florida gubernatorial race. Yeah, he's anti-black as well, which is, you know, I mean, come on. More of the same. Marielana is Trek AIPAC endorsed. Nice. Okay, so then we got Aisha Wahab. Obviously, we talked about that. So there's some interesting races. There's some interesting races happening all around the country. In Alaska, you got Mary Peltola, who recently was endorsed by Kamala Harris, and then she rejected Kamala Harris's endorsement, which I thought was very funny. So yeah, interesting races all around. We're obviously going to be looking at all of them later in the day. Steve Kornacki, the khaki, will be live, I believe, at like 6:30, so 3:30 our time maybe? Or what time is he live? Live, Kornacki analyzes the election in 3 hours. Yeah, 4 p.m. So he's going to be live 4 p.m. our time, and we'll tune in to see what he's talking about. But of course, the races that I'm most interested in are obviously the Democratic Socialist candidates in Florida, who are trying to build off the national momentum for DSA. These are tough races. There are some DSA-aligned candidates. There's DSA candidates. Elijah Manley was formerly in DSA. He's DSA-aligned. He's been on this broadcast. And of course, Oliver Larkin is our boy.
Today in 3 states, including Florida, where there are a number of Democratic Socialists on the ballot. Nicole Killian is at a polling location in Florida, just outside Fort Lauderdale. Nicole, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you, Vlad. Well, Florida isn't exactly a hotbed of Democratic socialism, but there are a few candidates who are trying to build on national gains and hope to pull off a potential upset or two in this reliably red state.
Something has to change right now.
State Representative Angie Nixon is one of at least 2
Democratic socialist vying for federal office in Florida. She's seeking the Democratic nomination for U.S. Senate against combat veteran and Trump impeachment whistleblower Alexander Vindman.
And I've seen corruption in Washington up close.
North of Miami,
this sounds an awful lot like a win on Tuesday!
DSA candidate Oliver Larkin is trying to unseat incumbent Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz.
He can say a lot of things, none of which are ever going to get accomplished.
Politics as they are today are broken.
27-year-old Elijah Manley says he isn't a Democratic socialist, but is one of the more progressive candidates in a crowded field in an historically black House district that was recently redrawn.
This is not just about black representation. This is about who's going to actually deliver for a community. We're seeing progressives across the country win, whether it's in Texas, whether it's in New York. And I think that progressive values and progressive wins are going to come to the South, too.
So here's the reality, okay? What have we seen so far in our experience in all these different runs? When there's no national progressive endorsements and it's just us and the local DSA on the ground, it's always going to be a much tougher battle. Because the reality of the matter is the electability component is still a primary driver for a lot of Democratic primary voters. Name recognition also plays a major role. These are people who are seeking to unseat incumbents in districts that are considered unsafe. Well, not Elijah. Elijah is in a different race. Elijah is in a very safe district. It's a black opportunity district. It's like plus 20 Democrat. So that's a lock. Whoever wins that primary is winning automatically the general. Now, the problem is Debbie Wasserman Schultz is the establishment Democrat here. She's playing the incumbent advantage, even though she's carpetbagging into this district. And you know, the party straight up cleared the field for her. They didn't speak out against this. They didn't speak out against the Debbie Wasserman Schultz move. Can you imagine if a white socialist moved into a black opportunity district, a white socialist, a white DSA candidate was unseating like a black incumbent in a black opportunity district? Do you know the amount of DSA is basically the Klans, DSA is basically Klans members' news articles that would fucking take place? The national news would literally talk about it every day. They would say, DSA so white. DSA are basically the same as Groypers. Why are DSA candidates trying to eradicate black political representation? But of course, when it's Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who's a white woman, who is a prominent DNC Hillary Rodham Clinton acolyte, nobody fucking talks about that. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares about black political representation all of a sudden because these people are charlatans. They don't give a fuck. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is, again, unbelievably reactionary on many issues. She's super pro-Israel. She played a formative role in the DNC to rat fuck Bernie Sanders in 2016. From 2011 to 2016, this would have been a fantastic opportunity to unseat and put a young progressive in this, young black progressive in this black opportunity district. But unfortunately, none of the national progressives leaned into this. None of the national progressives actually talked about it. Debbie Wasserman Schultz has a massive war chest. She also is a prominent establishment Democrat. So these are tough races. And then also on the other hand, you got Angie Nixon and Oliver Larkin, two DSA candidates. Angie Nixon running for Senate, Oliver Larkin running for Florida 20, a newly redistricted district that's like Trump +4. Jared Moskowitz, once again, yet you keep shying away from pushing Manley. What are you talking about? I'm shying away from pushing Elijah Manley. I have promoted him pretty much every day. I've interviewed him. I've fundraised for him. He sat right next to me here. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? Sorry, Manley is 20. Larkin is 25. Apologies. Anyway, Larkin has a tougher battle. Wait, he's not 25 years old. I'm talking about their districts. I am talking about their fucking districts, man.
Not all voters are on board.
It's not very well received here, especially in the South Florida community.
The races are among several that have captured national attention in the Sunshine State. At the top of the ticket, a wide-open race for governor, where GOP frontrunner Byron Donalds wants to challenge the Democratic nominee this fall.
There's a reason people keep coming here, because they want common sense conservatism.
This morning.
Yeah, no, I think we're mentally deficient, like mentally stunted adults. I don't know what it is. Maybe all of our haters are right about us. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I can't. I definitely didn't start the day off on the best footing. It's not just my PC that's overheating. I think a lot of people's brains have overheated as well.
President Trump reaffirmed his support for Donalds on Truth Social, but another Trump-backed candidate is facing a tough primary challenge. Congressman Corey Mills is trying to defend his Orlando area seat amid a House ethics investigation for alleged sexual and financial misconduct. He's denied any wrongdoing. Gail.
All right. Thank you very much, Nicole.
So tomorrow's primary day in Florida. One of the races to watch is in the state's 20th congressional district. Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz running here after Republicans redrew the congressional map.
Yeah, the problem here is Elijah Manley was the one that is the highest likely had the highest likelihood to unseat Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Okay. But none of the other candidates actually dropped out to consolidate support behind him. So there's a lot of vote splitting that's going to take place here. He still has the best chance, but it's unfortunate that, I suspect that there was a little bit of engineering there where they just refused to drop out and back him. And now there's going to be some vote splitting. I don't know if it's ego. I don't know if it's establishment Democrats that wanted to coordinate it on purpose to make sure that Debbie Wasserman Schultz's chances were better overall. It's just very blackpilling. It's very frustrating. Dude, shut up. Enough.
She is seeking her 12th term in Congress. She is the former chair of the DNC, and my next guest hopes to unseat her. 27-year-old Elijah Manley joins me now. He is a self-described socialist. His positions include Medicare for all and abolishing ICE. Elijah, thank you very much for joining me today. It's good to have you.
Thank you for having me, Martha.
Thank you. I want to play this from earlier today. This is Rahm Emanuel, obviously a very prominent member of the Clinton administration and someone that some people think may seek higher office. Here's what he had to say about the DSA or socialist candidates running now.
The Democratic Socialists, 3 weeks ago in Chicago, they had a convention. Run on your own ticket. If you're confident people want it, we'll see you in November.
Why is this black district going to vote for her? She's the establishment pick, so she has relationships with a lot of community leaders. That plays a big role. Name recognition, machine politics, and also on the tail end, she doesn't have to win the majority. She just needs a plurality, because on the other side, you have 4 black candidates going up against one another. That's going to obviously split the rest of the votes that are going in favor of pushing for a black candidate. That's it. It's classic. It's a clear rat fucking operation.
If you think they want defunding the police, letting prisoners out, I'll see you in November on the ballot. And if you're confident that that's what people want, go for it.
So what do you say to him, Elijah?
I think Rahm Emanuel should just be quiet. I think right now we are a big tent party. We welcome the wide range of ideas and free speech that we have. I'm not for defunding the police, and I don't think anyone is running around saying defund the police. But I find it really strange that we have an individual in our party like Rahm Emanuel attacking the Democratic Party in such a pivotal year.
This is Speaker Hakeem Jeffries, or Minority Leader, I should say, Hakeem Jeffries on yesterday. Watch this.
I do not support defunding the police. I do not support open borders. I do not support abolishing the Senate. And I don't support the DSA agenda as has been articulated by the DSA itself. What I'm excited about are the candidates who are running to flip seats in November to deliver us a majority.
We just can't let up, man. We can't let up. We have to keep fighting every moment of every single damn day. Like, there is no real quote unquote party unity. It's very obvious that the establishment, they will never stop. They are going to spend every waking moment attacking their left flank. They will lean into dirty tactics. They will lean into the reactionary moves coming from the fascist government. It's all about power for these guys. They don't care about implementing a vision, an agenda. It kills my confidence. I'm not going to lie. It's just so fucking annoying that all they give a shit about is making sure that their establishment buddies sit in safe seats. That's all this is. Straight up. That's the goal. They don't care. They don't even care if they lose the Republicans as long as their guy loses the Republicans. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine being the leader of the goddamn party and you have so much momentum on the side of Medicare for all? You have so much grassroots mobilization taking place around DSA candidates, and all these guys are doing is trying to stunt that. Like, they're trying to destroy that mobilization. They're trying to destroy your hope. It blows my mind. I mean, this is a 90-10 issue, and Hakeem Jeffries comes out and is like, I don't care about that. I don't care about that at all. I don't like that at all. This other 90-10 issue. We already know one 90-10 issue that Hakeem Jeffries is on the 10% side on. It's Israel, right? And it sucks. It sucks because the reality is that, most voters still vote defensively, and they think they don't have an independent thought. They just literally watch TV, especially a lot of older voters. They watch TV and they go, well, I like this candidate. I like these policies, but television told me he can't win. So I'm afraid I'm not going to vote for this person. And we have to play that over and over again. And what's really interesting, I saw something interesting, a statistic that bricked me. I believe in 2016 when they polled Democratic Party primary voters, a tiny percentage of them said that they were for electability. By 2020, that number had gone up to 64%. I was encouraged by Michigan leaders getting together behind Abdul, but since then, they haven't done much to help him, and the DSCC isn't exactly encouraging. I know. It's just never ending, man. We have to wait for the boomers to die then? No. There's plenty of kind-hearted boomers, plenty of sympathetic boomers. The problem is the boomers are more malleable. We're not waiting. We're just pushing. Dirty break this time. Dirty break time. Man, shut your bitch ass up. Okay? Shut the fuck up. Dirty break now. Okay, dude, let's do it. Third party now. Let's crack 10% as we fight for ballot access in every district, in every state. Shut up. Shut up. I'm sorry. The election Twitter losers that live in Estonia understand how difficult this process is, a lot better than the fucking fantastical world that LARPers live in. That's it. I swear to God, the election perverts that live in Eastern Europe, Western Europe, that are dialed in to every goddamn district down to fucking Wyoming 3. Okay? They have a better understanding of how American politics works than the Iowan communists who think the only thing stopping American communism from being implemented is our unwillingness to separate from the Democratic Party. We can't even get sympathetic figures in the base of support to vote for the Democrat whose policies they align with. And you're out here thinking a third party movement is going to work. Anyway, that person was just kidding. I'm sorry for going off on a fucking tangent. Anyway, yeah, the media is half the problem. They will not mention the left without it being a gotcha. 100%. Corporate media plays its role every single time. Corporate media is unbelievably contentious, unbelievably antagonistic towards the left. The only time they will ever allow leftists on television is to shit on them. So you have to be exceptional. You have to be an exceptional communicator. Okay? You have to be phenomenal. You have to go above and beyond. Everyone has to be like fucking Zoran with messaging discipline, with policy jujitsu. Schumer gives permission to abandon Abdul. Chuck Schumer says Democrats don't necessarily need to win Michigan to flip control of the U.S. Senate. A path to winning back the Senate clearly goes through Michigan, but we have a whole bunch of different paths. Schumer said, yeah. This is why we need Barack Obama, man. We need Barack Obama. Barack Obama, save me. That's it. It's so black pilling, dude. It is It's fucking one battle after another every damn day up in this bitch. Every fucking day. We have to claw our way. We have to fight every step of the goddamn way with establishment Democrats. Every fucking step. Because God forbid the party consolidates support behind a candidate that is the most consequential race, because it proves the point that if the establishment leans into progressive candidates, even in swing districts, that's going to cause a lot of problems for 2028. And establishment Democrats recognize that. Okay? Establishment Democrats recognize that if the entire party shifted its weight around to push for Abdul, and we brought in the low propensity voters and the high propensity voters that are going to come out and vote for Abdul al-Sayed regardless, if we had a unified front, Republicans would never have a shot in Michigan. So instead of allowing that victory, the establishment is basically saying, you don't have to really push for Abdul, it's fine. Signaling that they're not going to lean into that and instead dump all this investment into James Tallarico, which is a far riskier race. If we go into 2028, or not 2028, but if we go into the midterm season with the rest of the party refusing to back Abdul al-Sayed and setting up additional hurdles in front of him because they don't want him to win, you might not be surprised to know that the Schumer article mentions you. These people, man, they are fucking demonic. I swear to God. I had a little bit of confidence initially. I had a little bit of confidence that they were going to do a full push behind Abdul. I am definitely worried. It's not like Abdul al-Sayed is a socialist either. That's what's so crazy about it. He's not a socialist. He's a capitalist, and they still won't back him. What are we doing, man? What are we doing? Are we the party? Are we the anti-Trump party? Or are we the pro-Israel or bust party?
So let's address and get your thoughts on the idea of open borders. Do you believe that anybody who wants to enter the country should be able to enter, even if they do it breaking the law?
But Martha, I'm not a supporter of open borders, but I'm also not a supporter of having an agency kidnapping Americans off the street like ICE has, where you have untrained people, 19-year-olds, they pulled off the street and gave, guns to. That's not how we do things in America. I think that we need to have law and order, but the only way to have law and order is to have trained individuals following the law. These are paperwork violations for the most part. The data doesn't show that you have mass amounts of immigrants killing people. Some people show anecdotes and the one-off incidents. But the fact is, we had good bipartisan legislation that Democrats tried to get passed through the Congress, and unfortunately, Donald Trump killed it.
Let me ask you this. First of all, as you know, ICE would dispute what you're saying there. I've spent time with ICE agents in Texas. They're hardworking. They're upholding the laws that exist on the books.
Yeah, hardworking to do crimes, dude. Yeah, okay. I don't give a shit that they're hardworking. They're causing chaos. They're a lawless, unaccountable rogue agency operating at the behest of the president, who's a psycho himself. Doesn't matter if they're working hard.
That if you enter the country illegally, and especially if you have a criminal record or a detainer against you, you have to be removed. And when they wake up in the morning and they show up at work, they have assignments that are given to them to remove people who are criminal or who have remove orders against them. Do you have any problem with someone who fits that criteria being apprehended and removed from our country?
Well, I just don't think it's a good idea to take someone who committed a murder and say, go back home and live free and enjoy the rest of your life. If someone comes to this country and they commit murder or violence, we have American jails that we can put them in and make sure they never see daylight again. But the idea that, we pick somebody off the street that committed murder, and by the way, it's not that many people we're talking about here. We're talking about a very small number of people with these criminal records.
That may be,
Most
but
people that come
let me
to this
put
country
up, that may be, Elijah.
Records.
Okay, so let's talk about the specific instances where they do, because there have been thousands of people who have.
ICE is not a regular law enforcement agency. They have no crime or criminal apprehension jurisdiction. They pick up people with criminal records from the prisons because law enforcement, local law enforcement, or even at times federal law enforcement have apprehended undocumented migrants, non-citizens, documented non-citizens, undocumented non-citizens, If they've done crimes, it's the regular law enforcement that actually packs them up. They go through the regular courts. They go through the American criminal justice system. ICE does not have a legitimate law enforcement apprehension function. Okay? ICE's job, both on paper and, in theory and in practice, is to follow through on paperwork violations. Okay? We have made one of the most untrained, one of the most militarized versions of federal law enforcement, a law enforcement apparatus that is tasked with following through on paperwork violations. That's their job. Can you go on CNN or Morning Joe or any of the 7 to 9 a.m., 8 a.m. news shows? What are you talking about? No, of course not. I'm blacklisted. No, I'm blacklisted from CNN and also from MSNBC. Because if liberals were to actually hear from me rather than about me as a dangerous figure, they would probably realize that I'm not some fucking crazy radical and I'm genuinely a very pragmatic person, and they can't have that. It's the same thing that happens all the time with like the Podjons. The reason why they fucking hate that the Pod Save America folks have me on all the time is because when that audience hears what I have to say, they're very receptive to it. And CNN understands that. MS Now understands that, which is precisely the reason why they will never have me on. That's the issue. CBS, ABC, MS Now, all these outlets, if they were to have me on for an extended period of time, instead of just like, clipped moments that the Republicans are recirculating over and over again, their audience of liberals are otherwise like very kind, very normal liberals. It's like your parents, chat. They see the clips and they lose their minds and they're like, this is a scary guy that you're listening to. And then you're like, no, you should listen to what he has to say. And when they sit down and watch like longer than 5 minutes, when they sit down and watch a broadcast for longer than 5 minutes, they go, oh yeah, he's a very agreeable person. And you can't have that.
Have criminal records. They may not commit a crime here, but they came here with a criminal record from another country, and they came here illegally, right? I mean, we all come from somewhere. We've all been, brought into this country, and we've come here to build a life. But if you are a criminal, you break that social contract. You don't have the right to stay in the country anymore. Tell that to these women whose faces I'm putting up on the screen now: Laken Riley, Sheridan Gorman, whose family I have spent a lot of time with, Rachel Morin, Jocelyn Nungaray. She was 12 years old when she was attacked by these men who I'll put up after them, who were in the country illegally, had no right to be here. Imagine if a person that you loved in your family was killed or raped or murdered by someone who wasn't even here legally. How would you feel about that?
Well, here's what I say. My heart obviously hurts for those people, but we can't, base entire arguments off of anecdotes, one-off incidents. I mean, the data is not showing that you have thousands of people being murdered or killed by illegal immigrants in the country. That's just not true. We don't have to use fear in our arguments when we're talking about immigration. We want to have law and order, but we want to have a system that works. We want to create a pathway to citizenship for people.
Elijah,
The notion that the random barback is responsible for heinous crimes is psychotic. But unfortunately, because the broad majority of Fox News watchers have believed this idea that every undocumented migrant is a rapist in waiting, because the majority of Fox News watchers believe this insane, it's an uphill battle to climb every single time. The overwhelming majority of American pedophiles are white men. They're white men. Does that mean we treat every white man as though they're a pedophile? No, of course not. That's not how anything works. We don't just automatically assume that like every white guy is Jeffrey Epstein, right? That's not how it goes. Every time I bring this up, Chad has to literally go, yes! God, I fucking hate my job today. On days like this, I just fucking hate my job. I hate this. I hate it. I hate it.
I'm talking about fear. I'm talking about reality. I'm talking about reality, and I don't know that it matters.
Well, the data just doesn't support your argument.
Okay, so you're saying if there's thousands of people or hundreds of people who have committed crimes, you're just going to let them stay because the larger argument doesn't support it, or would you remove someone?
No, if they're committing murders, then they should go to prison. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I understand that some Republicans want to take these individuals and give them a vacation back at home, but they should go to prison. Is what they should.
Yes, that's the good line. That's it. He's doing it again. I don't want to give murderers a free ride back home. Okay? It's ridiculous. You do a crime on U.S. soil, you get apprehended by U.S. law enforcement, you go through the American courts, and you go to American prison. What are we doing? What are we doing?
An American,
That's not
they
true.
should go to prison. But Republicans want to give them a vacation and take them to another country in the Latin America.
I don't think anyone wants to give them a...
Dude, it's awesome. See, it bricked her. She has no response to that. You see that? She has no response. Told you. Gagged her ass, dude. Yeah, she's waffling because she has no response because she's never heard someone speak Haganese. We know how to speak Haganese, okay? I speak it fluently. That's the other reason why Fox News won't have me on either. Put me up there. I'll speak Hog. I'll speak fluent Chud, okay? I'll speak fluent fucking Chud. Law and order. Talk about emptying prisons. No, I want to put motherfuckers in prison. Talk about emptying prisons. Guess what? I want to put the Epstein class in prison, okay? We got to do law and order. Look at how lawless this goddamn president is. I'm talking about putting people who deserve it in prison. Right now, what we're doing is we're putting people who are poor in dire situations in prison permanently. There are a lot of people who harm the masses with regular frequency that stay out of prison. They should be in prison.
Vacation. No one wants to give them a vacation. If
Well,
they
then let's put
have
them in prison.
You're going to win them like you win the unks that despise Nancy Pelosi? I'm like, yeah, you do. If you're corrupt, if you're doing insider trading, you go to prison. If you're in Congress and you do insider trading, jail for you. Jail time. You know? Rick Scott, lock him up. Jail time.
And if they're committing murders, right?
But hold on, but we're talking about two different things. I'm saying if they come into the country illegally, which means crossing the border illegally, and they have a rap sheet back in their own country, are you okay with them staying here?
What I'm saying is if a murderer comes into the United States of America, sending them back for them to just come back over the border doesn't make sense to me. If you're a murderer coming to this country, put you in jail. That's all I'm saying. I mean, Republicans want to give these folks a vacation. I'm not interested in giving a criminal a vacation.
That's ridiculous. I don't know what you're talking about the vacation.
You don't know what? It's a free ride. It's a free ride back to their home country. She is so flustered. It's awesome.
No, we're talking about removing them for the country that they came to illegally. There's almost no country in the world that allows people to just cross their border.
That's wrong, by the way. That's wrong. Plenty of countries allow refugees in. We're talking about allowing refugees into the country. And if one of those refugees did a crime, there is no other country on the planet that literally automatically deports them. They go to prison. They go to prison in that country. Like, our structure is insane, okay? The notion that, like, if you come to the United States of America and you're seeking asylum, and then in the process you go and you murder an American citizen, we just give you a free ride back home, that's psychotic. There is no country on the planet that does this, okay? Every country on the planet accepts refugees, okay? That's number one. And number two, if someone who is a migrant that commits a crime, especially a heinous crime, no country deports them. They keep them in prison. It doesn't make any sense. This argument is so stupid. And plus, we're talking about the edge cases anyway. What we're talking about is like 0.1% of the migrant population. Okay? We're talking about 0.1% of the migrant population. That's not who we're locking up. That's not who we're deporting. That's not who ICE is deporting. That's why ICE is going to immigration court and waiting out, like staking out immigration court hearing, following the letter of the law. That's why ICE is going to factories. That's why ICE is going to farms. That's why ICE is going to hotels. Those are people who are working. They have their paperwork filed. Their status is in limbo because we refuse to give them the appropriate temporary protected status or the appropriate paperwork necessary. That's it. Yeah, Johnny Somali is in Korean prison for doing fucked up shit in Korea. Yep. Refugees and immigrants are two different things. You're not wrong, but a lot of these people are also seeking asylum. There's a lot of people who are seeking asylum, and then there's a lot of non-citizens, okay? Non-citizens that are cooperating with ICE. The American two-tier immigration structure exists so that there's a constant There's a constant feed of a permanent underclass that can depress wages for the documented labor force that will work for pennies on the dollar. This is how our capital owners operate. Okay? From the perspective of Republicans, there is no difference between refugees. There's no difference between immigrants. There's no difference between non-citizens who are documented. Look at the Haitians. Haitians had temporary protected status in the United States of America. Donald Trump reversed that decision overnight. It's such a controversial decision, and it's so bad for the economy of Springfield, Ohio, that the Republican governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine, came out and said, you can't do this. And now we're putting ankle monitors on these people. These folks were legally working on U.S. soil. They had the proper paperwork. The difference between them being a documented non-citizen and an undocumented non-citizen is literally one switch from the Republican government. Do you understand? And we can switch it all the same. We can literally take non-citizens who are currently undocumented and waiting to get their proper paperwork and offer them the proper paperwork like that. Most people we are deporting are here legally. It's not like they're hiding and not on the books. They are people who are here legally awaiting their asylum cases to be finished. Exactly. But the federal government is kidnapping them before their cases are even settled and sending them off to wherever the state feels like. You have Cuban guys in Eswatini prisons indefinitely. It is a massive injustice. It is straightforward Nazi shit. Okay? I'm sick and tired of having this back and forth with people who just don't understand this process. It's not that complicated. It's only as complicated as you want it to be. Okay? What's also ironic is if you look at the top line data, well, undocumented immigration has skyrocketed in this country in the last 20 to 30 years. You know what's gone down? Homicides have gone down. So even from a dumb guy perspective, which, you'll say this has nothing to do with one another. And that's fair, right? It's not, related to one another. But even the dumb guy argument here does not favor the Republican narrative. I guess you could say that because undocumented migrants and documented migrants are less likely to commit crimes than natural-born U.S. citizens, replacing the natural-born U.S. citizen population with undocumented migrants unironically lowers crime. If you want to play by those, if you want to, utilize the statistics here, that's the real stat. That's the real truth, Nuke.
And begin a life inside that country. You have to come in legally. Would you not agree with that?
I agree with that, but there's a right and a wrong way to carry out our laws. We have a constitution in this country. We have rule of law. We have a Congress, and we cannot have a situation where we have people terrorizing not just, immigrant communities, but terrorizing our communities, shooting random people in the face like Alex Perty. I mean, this is not acceptable way to carry out our laws in this country. The president and the executive branch need to enforce the laws, but they need to obey Congress because Congress is part of our constitution in this country.
Well, let me tell you one thing, Elijah. Congress's laws are the laws that ICE is upholding.
That's not true.
And I'm just going to ask you one more time because you didn't answer my question. Are you okay?
That's not true. That's what we're seeking to change anyway. Randy Fine caught doing crime on video.
Okay with someone crossing our border illegally, even though that's against the laws of the United States? I'm not talking about how they're removed. Are you okay with them coming in illegally?
I think I answered this question. We have to enforce the laws that we have on the books if someone's coming into the country illegally.
Okay, so they should be removed.
There is a right and a wrong way to enforce the law. We cannot shoot people in the street. We cannot kidnap Americans off the street indiscriminately. You may be okay with that. I'm not okay with that, Martha.
No, I'm not okay with anyone being removed indiscriminately. I'm okay with the laws being upheld, and I'm okay with people doing their jobs. So, well, hopefully you'll come back because we have a lot more to talk about. So, Elijah Manley, thank you. We'll be watching your race tomorrow in Florida in the 20th District. Thank you for joining me. We'll be right back.
Thank you so much, Martha.
Thank you as well.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.
If you do make it to Congress, you're going to have to work with this Trump administration.
What is this? Newsmax ended this interview after I turned this question on Trump's accomplishments.
So can you name one significant accomplishment that President Trump has secured since returning to office for a second term?
I think it was signing the Epstein Files Transparency Act into law. I think that is something that we saw overwhelming bipartisan support for in the United States Congress. I wish that it had come about sooner, and I wish that we had the divulgence of these DOJ documents. But I do think that having accountability for the Epstein class is something that many Americans on either side of the political spectrum can agree with.
Dude, they're reaching bottom of the barrel at Newsmax, too. This guy is famous for being annoying on airplanes, dude. I cannot believe that this is oh my God. What this country is in the dumpster, dude. I swear to God, Republicans find new and unique ways of making America worse every day. How is this possible? This guy's claim to fame is a shirt that says I love Donald Trump and then filming himself on airplanes being like, And now he's a fucking Newsmax 2 broadcaster. What are we doing?
And so I just want to see the follow through there. I've not necessarily seen that. The redactions of Donald Trump's name in these files, which is mentioned more than perhaps any other individual besides Jeffrey Epstein.
No, let's not go there. That's been debunked over and over and over again. Don't try to throw his name in there.
Let's not go in there. Let's not go there, please. Why not?
It's been completely debunked every single time that's come up. But
it's already in there. I don't need to throw it in there.
That's definitely not one of the greatest things that President Trump has done in his second term. He's ended 8 wars. He's trying to end another one. He's bringing peace to a lot of places. So that's lower on the totem list.
Not Iran.
But I see your point in your strategy in trying to put that out there. Oliver Larkin, thank you so much for joining the Pulse tonight. Appreciate you coming on.